As you heard, Ted and I make an announcement. We have made some significant announcement about IDK and beta channels. And we expect a lot of queries around it. I think we can answer as many as we can here. However, if you do have more questions, you can always send queries to submit on Partner Success Forum that we have, as well as go to our developer dashboard for IDK specific questions. There is a link to the forum. You can ask questions there, as well as if you can reach out to the assigned partner managers as well in cases where you have one.
All right, here's our first question. A couple questions are now coming, as you can see. We'll start with questions from Paul. So creating private channels is pretty much as complicated and time-consuming as public channels. Will beta channels be easier to stand up?
It would be easier to stand up. I think it would be similar to uploading a package and creating a channel. It's equal or probably a bit easier to create it. What is special about beta channels is really on what is the information you get with the beta channels. Currently, if you do have a non-certified channel, there is not much of information you get in terms of engagement or the data or whether there was any error with those channels. I think in these beta channels, we are exposing all of that similar to a public channel. I think as we have indicated during our keynote, the primary purpose of non-certified channel was for testing purposes. I think we are just extending that and making beta channels available so that developers can test and manage their channel better before publishing onto Roku platform.
Okay. Great question. So Paul has another question. Will in-app purchases work the same for beta channels as it does for private channels today?
Yes, they do. All the features that will be available within the current non-certified channel will be available in beta channels as well. As I did call out, I think the beta channels, will work and sort of expire after 120 days, but all the features would work within that 120-day period.
All right, Bronley has got a great question. Can you publish a beta channel without having a certified channel published to the Roku channel store first?
You can publish a beta. You cannot just promote a beta channel to production channel. However, you can create a beta channel, go through the testing, and essentially once you are ready, you can create a public channel, upload the same package, and publish it that way. So yes, you can use the same package. You use beta channel for testing. Once that's done, you essentially migrate that over to a public channel and then publish it that way. To your question, yes, it's possible, and you could do that with the beta channels.
Okay, great. So from Brian Smith, if we have 4 different channels for different partners to test with billing options, we need 2 developer accounts now instead of using private channels?
Again, here, the 2 limit is, we have looked at all the developers that how many they typically use or own the channels. In these cases, you would, yes, basically stagger your testing such that you have to use 2 channels for testing it. I think we don't recommend doing 2 developer accounts. We would rather stagger that in terms of different duration periods. But if you want to go the 2 developer accounts, that works as well. But we strongly recommend sort of staggering your testing to use the 2 developer channels.
Right. All right. Stephen Keene has a great question. Will there be an opportunity to convert existing private channels to public channels so we don't lose our existing user base?
The conversion to public channels, I think you can go through a normal publishing process where you take your private channel, download that package, and then create a public channel and submit for that channel for publishing. And that will go through a similar publishing checks, including certification, testing, etc. And you can publish in those cases a private channel as well. But as you might know, private channels in general doesn't go through a lot of certification testing. In this case, to publish a private channel into a public channel store, you will have to go through the certification testing.
Also, I'll add on, and we have some comms going out next week that are kind of expand on the sunsetting of private channels and the beta channels, and there actually will be explicit like migration steps going from private to public. It's a pretty simple process, but it'll be all spelled out.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna ask just a few more questions. And we're gonna have to head off to our workshops. Just a few more. From Jamie, what have you done to support CD/CI automating the build and creation of beta channels from a Git check-in?
Sorry, what was the question again? Can you repeat that one, Jonathan?
Actually, it's gone off the screen. I can't repeat it. So I think we're gonna move on. So we'll do two more questions. What went into the decision to sunset non-certified channels and turn for more restrictive beta channels? For example, 20 users per Mac channel, only 2 channels.
Right. It's a good question. I think, when we looked at generally the data around this, there is lots of abandoned channels and generally non-certified channels. And we are taking a much more sort of stricter approach in sort of maintaining that cleanness of the system. And by enabling beta channels with these sort of limitations, it helps us to keep the system a bit more streamlined. And that was the whole reason on why we sort of decided to go with the beta channels with these limitations.
Right. All right, last question from Sasha. Is there going to be a limitation on the number of beta channels? And why is that? What if we need more for testing different features?
Yes, I think we, as we mentioned in the keynote, a developer account can have 2 channels per developer account. And the reason for that is really going back to my previous comment about making sure it is, we don't have lots of abandoned channels on our platform. And based on our data, I think 2 channels are at most developers need for testing their public channels.